Welcome back, y'all. So it's no secret that MonsterVerze has been having a pretty rocky start. From being wrongfully banned twice by Roblox to mass reports from haters, it feels like MonsterVerze has been unable to catch a break. Now thankfully, the game has not been banned again and things seem to have calmed down a bit. However, there have been a lot of player complaints going around that I want to talk about today. The most common one being the items are too pricey and the lack of gameplay. Honestly, there's a lot of valid criticism out there, but there's also a lot of fear mongering going on, which I understand being worried about the game's future. However, the game just released on October 31st, and I feel like things are heading in the right direction. Obviously, the devs aren't perfect, so they'll make mistakes here and there, but what's important is that they listen to the community, and so far it seems like they have been doing just that. Of course, they can't make every single player happy, but I have noticed certain things being fixed and added to improve the experience overall. Now, before we start, please do not send hate towards the devs or anyone mentioned in this video. Constructive criticism is always welcomed, but I feel like a lot of people don't understand what that actually looks like. Saying something like, "LOL, this game is so trash, there's no gameplay," isn't constructive criticism. I know there's a lot of people out there that just do not like MonsterVerze, but even if you don't like the game, you don't have to be nasty about it. Or in other words, keep it cute or you'll get the boot. Lastly, I want to thank all the donors that contributed to the Gamers Outreach Spooktacular fundraiser last month. Thank you so much to Missing, Starstruck Leon, Ritzy Bitsy, Zania, Gem Collector, Andy, Studio Zach, and that one anonymous donor. I'll give y'all another shout out in the Lena Lore video, don't worry. Anyways, let's start off with the first section. Alright, so the very first thing that a lot of people have been complaining about is the item prices. Specifically when it comes to this latest update that came out on Sunday, people were really upset about the Trickster set prices. I believe the set cost 189,000 Gulers in total, which is a lot, and obviously a lot of players felt like the prices weren't justified. In my opinion, I feel like the Trickster set does have certain prices that are justified, specifically when it comes to the sleeves. You have 3 arms on each side, I believe, which is super cool and I absolutely love it. I want them so bad. But the sleeves cost 36,500 Gulers. But this specific piece I feel is justified at that price. Now the one that I definitely agree is way too expensive is the Trickster Jester bottoms. It's pretty much just the ruffles and it's 28,000 Gulers. This one specifically had a lot of people talking because they felt like it wasn't worth spending 28,000 Gulers just to get ruffles. I actually feel like it should have been attached to the top instead of it being a separate thing, but maybe that's just how they decided to do it, or maybe it was easier that way, I'm not too sure. But out of all the items for this set, I feel like the ruffles should have been 10k Gulers max. Now there's another set that also released called the Dulce Katrina set. This is the one that the devs have been teasing for a little bit now, and it was released recently. Me personally, I was waiting for this one to finally come out and I got it immediately, but I'm not gonna lie, the set was a little bit pricey. In total, this set cost 90,500 Gulers, which is way cheaper compared to the Trickster set, but I'm not gonna lie, once I bought this, I was completely broke. To be fair though, it's not hard to grind in MonsterVerze, and I feel like you can make money pretty quickly. There's also a lot of codes that are currently active that give you Gulers as well, but I get it. Grinding in the game currently is a little bit boring. For me personally, I feel like the grinding isn't that bad, but it's because I'm on PC and I just play a video and I can watch it while I grind. And trust, as an ADHD girly, I can only do it for so long. Usually what I do on my end is that I go in, I get a certain amount of Gulers, and then I log out. Because if I do it for too long, I get really stressed out. Now, one thing the devs have emphasized is that these sets are permanent, so you don't have to feel rushed to get them. But even so, people do feel like the prices still aren't justified. I also saw this conversation regarding the Dulce Katrina set. People were comparing it to Dress to Impress, basically saying how cultural items shouldn't be put behind any kind of currency. It should just be something free you get. At least with this set, it's permanent and it's not gonna go away. Honestly, I'm not too sure if it should be free or if it's okay that it costs some type of currency. At least it doesn't cost Robux. I feel like it would be a big issue if it did cost Robux. Let me know in the comments down below how you feel. Do you think games should make cultural items free, or is it okay that it costs in-game currency? Now the next big complaint is that there's no gameplay in MonsterVerze. This has been a conversation since the release date, update. People were expecting for there to be some type of gameplay when it first came out. Currently, all you're able to do is farm, so a lot of people felt disappointed. Now, I believe the reason why there's no gameplay currently is because the devs want to make sure that everything goes smoothly. If they had released everything at once as well, it could have caused big crashes. Overall, they just want to make sure that everything runs smoothly before they release it to us. Now, if I'm being honest, I did expect there to be some type of gameplay at first. I thought maybe we'd get some quests here and there, or maybe some PvP, but I do want to be fair to the devs that the game did get banned a week before release, which probably set back the game a lot considering things got deleted. So I get where they're coming from wanting to take precautions. Now, this is a big argument I've seen around. A lot of people feel like the devs just haven't finished anything and they released the game just to release it, or that they made false promises. But if you ask me, I feel like we just need to be patient. They recently announced that we're gonna get the runway show next Sunday, so we're gonna have a new farming method and something else to do in the game. To me, that's already a good sign, especially since they drop weekly updates. I feel like we're gonna have way more gameplay soon. Speaking of this whole conversation, there's been this argument back and forth about whether it should be called a beta or alpha instead, but I did go to this website called Medium where it says alpha versus beta in game development. In this article, it says beta isn't done, but it's closer and more of the systems and gameplay are mature. The fun loops of the game should be pretty well defined, the pace should generally be established, and the identity of the product is pretty close to what it will be when it ships. It's missing bells, whistles, reflectors, tassels, streamers, and whatnot, but those can be added. There usually isn't a time to make major changes, but things like adding a new game mode, rebalancing the mechanics, and so on are fair game. Now, I'm not here to argue whether it should be called a beta or if it should be called an alpha. Either way, the game isn't fully released yet, and there's still a lot of work to be done. I guess for me, I don't really care what word is used. I just know that I don't have expectations for the full game to be released to me. Now, something else that I see a lot of people complain about is the fact that the Discord is a mess. Not because of the devs, but because of the community. Unfortunately, this happens in almost every game developer Discord. If an update doesn't drop on time, people get really mad. If the update isn't up to expectations, people get mad. And when people get mad, they start spamming things all over the place and also just being very rude. Currently, as of me recording this video, the Discord is on lockdown. The only place I'm able to type and send messages is in the VIP section, but every other channel is locked down. I do feel bad for the devs because I feel like they don't have enough people to moderate the server. I'm sure they also get very overwhelmed with the amount of tickets that are coming in, especially if it's just the same thing being reported over and over again. I don't know how many people are working on the server, but it does seem like they might need a little more help in there. In my opinion, I don't blame them for wanting to shut down the server sometimes. I'm sure it can be discouraging sometimes when people are just coming in there bombarding you with hate. Obviously, there's people who actually do come in there and give constructive criticism or give real complaints, and they're not just being rude, but there's always those very loud few that ruin it for the rest of us. I believe the reason why a lot of people were mad recently with this update too is because it was supposed to drop at a certain time, but then it didn't, which isn't a big deal. If I'm being honest, when it comes to MonsterVerze, I don't really expect it to drop on time. I'm surprised they're dropping weekly updates in general, to be honest. That's already a huge commitment. So if it's a few minutes late, I'm not going to trip about it. Since we're on the topic of toxic players, I do want to say that I feel like there's certain parts of the community that do too much. Like, I get it, you love the game, but sometimes you have to take a moment and remember that the devs are just people. And like I mentioned earlier, it's a small game. I feel like half of the people who play this game are kids and the other half are probably adults and teens. There could be some kids who just don't know better, but I have seen some adults and teens just act up. I don't know what it is, but girly games have so many toxic people in it. It doesn't matter if it's Dress to Impress, Royal High, there's always some kind of beef going on. Now, besides the toxic players, I feel like the majority of people are very supportive, which I genuinely enjoy, but it does suck when the people who are just crapping all over the game are getting the most traction and attention, and then the acknowledgement of the actual good work the devs are doing kind of gets ignored. And the big issue is that a lot of people feed into the hater posts, whether you're replying back to them telling them they're wrong or they shouldn't talk that way, whatever it is, if you give them some kind of ounce of attention, they're just gonna keep doing it over and over again. I'm gonna be honest, I get a little anxious when I make videos about MonsterVerze because I feel like there's gonna be somebody unhinged watching and they're gonna lose their minds. Or if I have a different opinion, there's people who just cannot stand it. I don't know, I just feel like people need to calm down a little bit. Overall though, I do love the community. I just wish those few people who are very toxic would chill out. With that being said, let's go ahead and move on to the last section of the video. Personally, I feel like MonsterVerse is doing great so far, especially for a new release. There have been so many games that unfortunately never take off no matter how good they are, but the fact MonsterVerse is averaging between 6 to 8k players daily is incredible. I also love the fact that the devs are releasing new updates weekly. I just hope they're not getting burnt out. Honestly, I feel like for certain things, the community should cut the devs a little slack. I'm not saying you can't criticize the game or you're not allowed to have complaints. I just want people to remember that this is still a small game. Now, if they were on the same level as Dress to Impress or Royal High, that would be another story. But the game is still new and there's more to come. The fact we're getting the runway gameplay this coming Sunday is already a lot in my opinion, and I'm super excited for it. Obviously, I want the story mode, quests, and more places to visit, but at least the game is slowly progressing towards that direction. Now, something that I have seen some people bring up is that they feel like MonsterVerse is going to end up like Astro Renaissance. And trust me, I get it. Astro Ren has so much potential, so it sucks that it didn't take off and stop getting major updates. But I feel like we should treat MonsterVerse as its own thing. There's a lot of different developers working on this, the game had financial backing, and there's way more people interested in supporting the game overall. While MonsterVerse still has a long way to go, I genuinely believe these things will get better. We just have to be patient and allow the devs to make improvements. Anyways, thank you so much for watching today's video. I really appreciate it. Hopefully y'all like seeing my new VTuber in the video. If you don't worry, she'll make an appearance here and there. But my original video style will still be around. Anyways, let me know in the comments down below how you feel about the new MonsterVerse update. Do you like the game or is it not your cup of tea? Also, what do you think would improve the game? Okay, bye. See you in the next one. Bye. Okay, bye. See you. Bye.